Hey guys, it's Judy. Welcome to my DIY channel. Since the beginning of quarantine, I've gotten tons of requests for these fabric face masks. So we're going to learn how to make those today. What we're going to need for this project is a paper pattern, which you're going to print off of statethelabeler.com/pages/masks. Okay, next we're going to need some pins to pin the fabric to the pattern, a spool of ribbon so that you can tie the mask to your face, and 2 types of fabric. I'm using this flower pattern and an old pair of jeans for my liner and the outer part of my mask, and lastly a pair of scissors. Okay, we're going to get started on this mask. So the first thing we're going to do is pin the pattern to the fabric. So I think I'm going to put it right like that. And we're just going to throw a couple pins in there. Here's my little pin magnet. Okay, now we're going to cut the pattern out. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to go ahead and unpin the pattern from this liner fabric, and we're going to use this same pattern to cut out the liner. What we're going to do is, this is my liner fabric. I have this folded over so that we're getting those 2 pieces from each pattern. And what we're going to do with the pattern is there's a little dotted line there. So you're going to fold down there because the liner is going to end up a little bit smaller than your outside edge. So we're just going to put this again like nice and close to the edge. Let me see if this is folded over. Nice and close to the edge of your fabric so that you can use it again for something else. Okay, so now that we've got that all pinned, we're going to cut it out again just like we did with the outer section. So go ahead and unpin the pattern. We folded that pattern in half. So that's the part that we folded. So our next step is going to be sewing the edge of the liner. So we're going to head over to the ironing board and just fold this over so that we can get a nice seam with the sewing machine. Okay, so we're at the ironing board. We're going to iron these liner pieces. You should have 2 that are kind of mirror images of each other because of the way we cut that pattern. So just iron them flat first so that you have a nice flat fabric to work with. And then we are going to iron about 1/4 inch seams for the ironing board. So just fold it over about that 1/4 inch, and then one more time kind of press it flat with your fingers so it's a little bit easier to iron. And then iron that, and then do the same thing on the other side. So this should be, you should have the wrong side of your fabric up and fold it so that wrong sides are touching, and fold in twice. And it should be about the same distance as that other one. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to sew down that seam that we just ironed. We're going to top stitch right along the edge and just try to get as close to the edge of that fold as you can, and sew all the way down. And then we're going to do the exact same thing to the other piece. Okay, so while we're at the machine, we're going to head to the iron in a little bit, but while we're here, we're going to sew these 2 pieces together to each other with the ones that match. So you're going to take, these pieces should be mirror images of each other. So take the right side, that's where the pattern is going to be a little bit stronger. See, this side, it's a little bit less clear. So you're going to put the right sides together with that darker part of the pattern. And we're going to sew right along this seam right here. It's going to be about a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch seam. And then again, we're going to put the right sides together of this piece and sew right along here. Okay, so now we're going to head back to the ironing board. Okay, so now we've got the 2 pieces of our outer bit sewed together and the 2 pieces of our liner sewed together. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make some cuts along this seam so that it will lay flat when it's like in the mask, because this is a little bit bulky for when you're wearing it. So we're gonna cut little triangles really, really close to the seam. So you can see I did those little triangles, and now I'm going to iron those sections down, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the liner. Okay, so now you can see how I've made that seam in the middle lay flat, so then when it's up against your face, it's a lot more comfortable. So we're going to do the same thing with the liner. Okay, so now that we've got both pieces ironed, we're going to actually sew them together. So this is going to be right sides together again, so that stronger part of the fabric. And then we're going to sew across, kind of line up your seams here. So this seam should be right along the other seam. Perfect. And then we're going to sew across the top here, and then again across the bottom. Okay, so we are back at the sewing machine. We've got our 2 pieces ironed down, and we're going to sew them together. So we're going to sew a seam along the bottom here and across the top. Okay, so now that we've got those seams done, we're gonna head back to the ironing board. Okay, so now that we've got our liner and our main fabric sewn together, we're going to flip that inside out, and then we are going to sew seams along the side for our ribbon to go through, for the strap to go around your head. So, flip that on inside out. Kind of try to get that seam showing there. And then we're going to iron this edge, and we're going to iron a couple folds for our ribbon. Alright, so now I've got that ironed down nicely so that that lays really nice. And now what we're going to do is we're going to fold in this section. You can see where the outer part is a lot longer than the inner part. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to fold it in 2 times until that edge is right up against the edge of the liner. And that's going to form a little loop right here where your ribbon is going to go. So do that on both sides and iron it down. Okay, so now we're gonna head back to the sewing machine to do these last couple of seams. Okay, so we're back at the sewing machine, and we're gonna sew a seam right along that fold as close as we can get to give our ribbon lots of space. Okay, so now the sewing part of your mask is done, and the last thing we're gonna do is choose some ribbon and thread it through these little loops here. So we're gonna head to the couch. Okay, so now we're going to cut a piece of ribbon and thread it through those little loops that we made in our mask. So this is the ribbon from a previous mask that I made that was about the right length for me. I measured it for you guys, it's about 3.5 feet. So that's a pretty good general estimate of how long to make the ribbon so that it ties comfortably behind your head. So you're gonna wanna cut your ribbon at an angle, about a 45-degree angle, so that it doesn't unravel at the ends. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to use a darning needle. I have a little plastic one. There's a bunch of different kinds, but this is the easiest way I found to get the ribbon through the mask. So we're going to go up through the bottom of this loop, because what we're going to do is make it so that there's a loop around the top and then 2 loose ends around the bottom that you can tighten up and tie to adjust so that it fits. So push that needle up through the loop and pull your ribbon through. So we went up one side and now we're going to go down the other. So again, push the needle through and pull out your other side. And now you've got your mask is finished. So this loop is going to go around the back of your head, and then you're going to tie these 2 pieces around the back of your head as well. So if you guys have any questions, or if you just want to let me know that you made a mask, let me know in the comments below. And the link to the pattern will be in the description. That also includes step-by-step instructions if anything in the video was unclear. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.